What I'm going to do now is run through all of the exercises you're going to do in this workout. And a word of advice, if you can get the kit and have a little go with me, a few practice goes, then it'll make it easier for you when we get into the workout. First exercise, the squat jump. We're taking the feet about hip width apart. They'll stay hip width apart all of the time. Now, remember when we talked about plyometrics, we talked about preloading, taking that stretch through the muscle, and then we explode, and then we land. Things to watch out for. The quieter the landing, the softer it is. That means we're putting more work into the musculature, and we're taking the impact away from the joints. So try to think about soft, quiet landings. And the way we achieve that is by moving continuously. Never land and stop, but drop straight into the squat. Let's try a couple. You can use your arms for momentum. Now, the easier version of this is to jump up and step down. To jump and then step down. But if we're able, if we've got no injury issues, then we're jumping up and we're jumping down. That's your squat jump. And now the press, curl, press. A great combination exercise using many muscle groups. And you know what that means? We're going to burn a load of calories. So you're starting down. Careful how you get there. Feet are about hip width apart. Make sure the lower spine is in a comfortable position. The abdominals are in tight. By comfortable position, I mean there's a gentle arch in the lower back. We're going to press. We're going to then use the dumbbells to stand up. We're going to bicep curl, and then we're going to press. But let's go through a few of the teaching points first. Okay, be aware on that chest press. We don't want to lock the arms out. Directly above the chest, get a good stretch. Press, but don't lock. We're sitting up. Use that momentum, stand, but keep the knees slightly bent. On that stand, you're going to need to keep your abdominals in tight. We now curl. Look at the dumbbells. They're going to twist a little finger towards you. Abdominals stay in tight. Watch what happens to the dumbbells. We now press. Again, we're not locking out the arms on this press, but also be aware that I'm not pushing directly upwards. Look how uncomfortable that is for my shoulder girdle, but also the stress it puts on the lower spine. So the press is slightly in front. Okay, so shall we try just a couple of repetitions? Gently lower yourself down. Use the abdominals as we go down. We press. We stand. We curl. And we press. And then we reverse it back down again. Keeping the dumbbells under control all the time. Curl and try to make it fluid, one smooth movement. And that's your press, curl, press. The snatch and straddle jump is a great combination exercise, but it's important to keep the deeper abdominals engaged because we're going to be bending forwards, and what we don't want is any rounding through the spine. So we start with the feet aside the board. We're going to go down. In that squat position, take a hold. Now we're going to explode through the legs with that plyometric, and we're going to snatch straight up to the top. Be careful not to let it go too far back. Keep the abdominals in tight. So we go down, we bend, we put it down and take it in the other hand. Now, you've got the choice. You're jumping up. You can either walk down if you have any injury concerns, ankles, knees, hips, lower back, then it's better to walk down. If not, we're going to jump down as well, and we're going to alternate hands each time. So shall we have a little practice? Try the other hand this time. Get a hold. We jump. We can jump back out, put it down, and change. Up and out, put it down. Or you have the option, remember, to walk back down. Put it down, change hands. Up. And remember, we're thinking about plyometrics. So we go down and we explode from that stretched position. And that is your snatch and straddle jump. The sit-up and rotate is a great combination exercise for the abdominals because we work the rectus abdominis at the front, the six-pack when we sit up, and then we're working into the obliques at the waist when we get the turn. Okay, so let's line it up. Lower yourself down carefully. Now, I've got the feet about hip width apart, lower spine in a neutral, comfortable position. So this is what I'm going to do. Sit up, keep it up high, rotate, working through the lower spine, making those obliques do the work, bring it back up to the top and lower down. And you don't need to be a genius to figure out. Now we're going to go to the other side. Rotate and up. Okay, sit up, lift, rotate, lift up, and back down. Now we can make that just a little bit more difficult by taking the ball back behind the head, so we're working with greater levers. So if we take it now back behind the head, we've got to work that extra bit harder to get up, but the rotation stays the same. On that rotation, notice how I'm coming down slightly. We're back up, and we're back down. And that is your sit up and rotate. And now the row, curl, press. Great exercise because it's a combination of several muscle groups at the same time. So that means it burns a lot of calories, but also puts a demand on the core muscles to work a little bit harder. So this is what we're going to do. The feet are about hip width apart. We're going to soften the knees. We're going to drop the dumbbells down just below the knees. Keep the abdominals in really tight. Keep the knees bent as we row. Elbows are up to the side and high, squeezing the shoulder blades together. That's putting some work into the rhomboids in the upper back. We now stand up, but that work comes through the glutes. Keep the back nice and long. We curl and we press. Now, let me show you how that looks from the side. A few key teaching points here. Firstly, make sure your weight is balanced. Okay? Now, we stay with a long spine. Think about the distance from the top of your head down to your tailbone. Don't round, but hinge forwards. The knees are bent. Long spine. There's a little curve in your lower spine. Abdominals are in tight. When we row, your upper back, lower back, don't move. Stay fixed in that position. Now the lift comes from here and here into the standing position. Yeah? We curl, we press. Remember on the press, slightly in front, not here where it causes that strain on the lower back. Okay? Should we try a couple of repetitions? Bend the knees. Down. Don't let the shoulders pull forwards. We row. We lift. Curl and press. And reverse the motion. Make it smooth. Row. Curl and press. The press-up T-stand is a great challenge for the core muscles because we've got to maintain the position we're in. Now, we're starting in a press-up position using the dumbbells, hands on the dumbbells. I'm also using the step to give me a little bit of an incline. So, from our press-up position, make sure the top of the head drops forwards towards me. Keep your abdominals in tight, the hips are lifted. Normal press-up, we go down, we come up, but now as we come up, we're going to lift one hand straight to the ceiling. Bring it back down and rotate, working through that rotation in the lumbar spine. Down we go, and guess what? Alternate and lift to the other side. Now, things to think about. Notice how I'm lifting straight up to the ceiling. Don't let the hand go back behind. This is not a good position. Puts a lot of strain on the shoulder, and look at what's happening to this arm. We start to get that hyperextension. So make sure we lift up and then bring it straight back down. At all times, we've got to be careful not to let the hips drop down. So we press up, we lift, and the hips stay lifted. And you'll notice what I'm doing is looking at the dumbbell as we lift to help me get that rotation. Remember, your lower spine is designed to rotate as well as to flex, extend, and laterally flex. We need that rotation. Make it smooth. Let's have a couple more to practice. Feet are slightly apart for balance. We're down. We press and lift. And one more time. We're down. We press and lift. That is your press up and T-stand. And now the jump over and lift, pretty self-descriptive exercise. What I'm going to do here is jump over the Viper, grab a hold of it, stand up and lift, and then jump back, do exactly the same thing. Now, although we're using the Viper, this could be a dumbbell, it could be a kettlebell, anything. The point is we need to jump over it and pick it up. You've got options here. When we pick it up, you can either lift to there, or if you want to work a little harder, you can lift it up a little bit higher. So, things to notice. I'm going to jump. I'm over to the other side. I'm now already going down into my squat position, which allows me to pick it up. I can put it down, and now as I go over, again, straight back down. Things to notice. I've already loaded now. I've already got the stretch. Yeah, that's what our plyometrics is all about. Up, down, and use that stretch. Over we go. Same rules apply. Make sure you land quietly. Quieter the landing, the less impact on the joints. But also means we're getting more loading through the muscles. We've got that squat with the extra weight, which is going to put better toning effect into the buttocks as well. At all times, Abdominals in tight, chest lifted. Now, the Viper combination exercise includes 4 different exercises put together. Now, although we're doing it with the Viper, we could do this with a barbell as well. The important point is, I'm going to squat thrust. I'm then going to snatch, I'm going to press, and then get a trunk rotation. So you can imagine we're working 4 exercises together. That's a lot of muscles. That's a lot of calories we're burning. But also puts that strain on the core. We've got to stay locked in the middle. Be thinking about pulling in here, and don't forget the pelvic floor. Lift up. That creates that intra-abdominal pressure we were talking about in the earlier lesson. So feet are about hip width. We're going to go down and take a hold. We're going to then go into our squat thrust. Take the legs back. Bring them back in. And now the snatch. Keep the abdominals in tight. Strong through the legs. Drive up. Lift to the chest. From there, we're now going to press overhead. The elbows stay slightly bent. And now keeping the knees bent as well, we get our rotation back to the center, and we reverse it. But now we're going straight down into the squat thrust. Up, snatch, and guess what? We're turning to the other side now. And back, and down. One more time. Squat thrust, lift, up, twist, and one more on the other side, but let's make sure we're keeping it smooth. Up, lift, up, twist, and back down. That's your Viper combination exercise. You'll feel that one. The kettlebell combination swing is a great exercise for working the core muscles and also getting into the shoulder girdle, really working those small muscles, the rotator cuff, that protect our posture and therefore help to maintain a healthy spine. So what we're doing here, and I'm just going to go through it in a small movement, we're taking a swing. The swing comes from a snap in the hips. So we're not sinking down too low. We're just bending the knees slightly, dropping the hips back. Then what happens is we snap the hips forwards to get the swing. As it comes down, I'm going to turn my feet into a lunge position. As I lunge, I'm going to let the weight swing through and lift the free arm to give me some rotation through the waist. Yeah? As it comes back through, I'm going to lift it straight up, let the swing take it. I need to really lock on now, particularly through what we call the posterior chain, down through my glutes, through my hamstrings, to hold that position. I'm then simply going to let it drop down and swap hands. So we'll alternate hands. So I'm down, swing, lunge, lift, and then just bring it down. I'm swapping hands. So we need that swing first. Sink, swing. Into the lunge, rotate, lift and lock on in the middle, and we change it over. The key here is to keep it smooth. So swing, rotate, lift, and down. Straight onto the other side. Swing, rotate, lift, and down. Really feeling that work through the whole body and down. Swing, rotate, and lift, and down. And that's your kettle combination swing. The press up and deadlift is a combination of 2 fairly standard exercises, but when we put them together, we really find that the whole is greater than the sum of the parts because we're working the upper body and the lower body, and because of that, there's a lot of work going on in the middle as well, strengthening those core muscles. So, I'm using a barbell here. It could be a Viper, it could be 2 dumbbells. It doesn't matter as long as we've got something to lift. I'm going to go down, keep the abdominals in tight. Hands are in front of the barbell, feet go back into my press up position. So, since I'm here anyway, I may as well do a press up. I'm going to jump the feet back up. Keep the feet wide, keep the knees bent. Grab a hold. Now, through a long spine, pressing through the heels, squeezing the glutes to lift up into my deadlift. Look how we bring the shoulder blades back and down. Chest is lifted. Now, importantly, we're going to bend the knees. Stay with a long spine. Don't let it pull the shoulder blades forwards. We put it back down on the floor. Hands back into the press up position. Press up. Now, if you want to make it easier, we're going to walk up and down. Hands and walk. So you have the option to either walk or to jump. The most important thing, keep a long spine, abdominals tight, and lift up. Don't ever get into a rounded position. Stay long, top of the head's forward, tailbone down in that position for the deadlift. That is your press up and deadlift. The InOut Press Up is a great exercise, not just for the chest, but for the anterior deltoid at the front, for the triceps at the back, and also what this is doing is putting that strain on the core muscles, as always, making us work a little bit harder in those deeper postural muscles that, when they're stronger, help to protect our lower spine and help us to generate more force through our arms and legs, so improving sports performance. We're going to start nice and easy. Simple version is on your knees, hands on. Dead simple, we walk out and do a press up, we walk in and do a press up, yeah? Still on the knees, we can make that a little tougher. Press up, press up, press up. For the full press up, on we go. Hup, press up, press up, press up. And again, as with the lower body, the secret here is to make the landings nice and soft, and we do that by going straight into the press up. As soon as we land, we go straight into the next exercise. Hup and land, hup and press, hup and press, hup and press. That is your in-out press up. Great exercise for the triceps. The supine bridge twist is a fantastic combination exercise for the lower body and upper body, and really getting into that rotation of the lower spine. So we're going to lie ourselves down, the feet are flat. Now, the supine bridge you may be familiar with. This is an exercise for the posterior chain, getting into the hamstrings and glutes. We're aiming to lift the hips high, back onto the shoulders. Now, at the same time, what I'm going to ask you to do is take a reach across to touch the floor. It's like at a diagonal across the other shoulder and back down. But can we do those two exercises together? Up and reach, and then back down. Up and reach, and then back down. Try that a couple more times. Remember to press through the heels. Reach as far as you can. Make sure that rotation is coming through the lower spine. And that is your supine bridge twist. The power press up is again targeting the pectorals, the deltoids, and the triceps, key groups, but also some work for the core muscles. And because it's quite demanding, you'll find it works the cardio as well. You'll get your heart racing on this. So one hand is in the center, one to the side. You have options. You can have the knees down. We can press up and we can walk the hands. Press up and walk. Keep the abs in tight. Keep the head forwards. Try not to lift the neck. As you can tell by the sound of my voice, that's not a very comfortable position. Could we go to a full press-up position? You might want the feet slightly apart for balance. One hand off. Press up, walk to the center. Press up, walk to the center. Okay, but since we talked about plyometrics, that's what this workout's about, and that's how we burn lots of calories. Why don't we press up and jump it across? Press and lift. Press and lift. Abs are in tight all the time, and that is your power press up.